Dino muten na yemi wapa. Dino muten na yemi baba. We kwa charai na yemi baba. We kwa bambe na yemi baba. Dino muten na yemi baba. Muneti une na imi baba. Newe vina na iwe na imi baba. Newe we yokai na imi baba. Hey 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 hey. Well, great and good evening, everybody. This is a full room. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Paul Munyaradzi Charai, and it's just so good to see such great faces, people from all over the Sheridan community in this room tonight. Just to set the pace, I like to keep things a little chill. Is that the right slang term right there? A little chill, right? So feel free, relax, have fun this evening. We might ask you to join in on some stuff. And I think we'll give it a shot right now real quick. So you heard what Blessing was singing, right? I think we got some singers in there. I see Miss Janae. Yeah, and Miss Reb. You know? And that's the reprise. So in Shona music, we have what we call a call and an answer. So somebody calls, right? You say something, and then the people answer. When I was talking to Uncle Paul Del Rossi about just the culture in Zimbabwe around music, I said, you know, it was so powerful that when my grandmother, at the end of the day, or any time if you're out playing, if you're out in the fields or something, and you heard her call, she wouldn't say, ah, no. She'll start singing something. if you heard that drum, no matter what you were doing, you're going to stop that thing and make your way home. Because that woman probably wants to pray or she has something to say. Right? Right. And so that's music in our culture. It's so embedded into the very fabric, I think, of who we are. And that's just a personal opinion, just because I don't know. I think a lot of people have seen me do stuff around, and sometimes I think I get carried away because I'm like, this is a totally different culture. And here I am going, sing! Oh my gosh, sing! You know? And that's me. Right? Well, tonight, I just want you to relax, if you would, and have fun with the evening. And I really appreciate all of you being here. So back, when I was growing up in Zimbabwe, I was born, I'm going to date myself here, 1978. And this was pre-independence. So Zimbabwe was still under colonial rule. And it was the British rule. But there was like a strange period in there where we had, the British were the rulers on paper, but then there was also a different regime that was in Zimbabwe at the time. And basically what we did, well, not what we did, but what the people did, eventually they were like, you know what, we need to become independent. Now, can anybody tell me when America became independent? Anyone in the crowd? 17? There you go, 1776. So now, if you can picture yourself, just try to picture yourself in those times when you had people that were wanting to be an independent nation, but life didn't stop, right? People kept living. People would have parties, people would go to church, and life was moving on. And this is what was happening in Zimbabwe. And when I was born in 1978, again, I said my name is Paul, right? I'm going to tell you how that came to be, which is a big question that I get. And people say, how come your name is Paul and you're from Zimbabwe? And I said, yeah, that's a very valid question. My grandmother was a staunch Catholic. How that came to be, though, is so when her father, when they picked him up, he was picked up by Catholic missionaries years and years ago and raised him up in the missionary. And while he was in the missionary, he didn't really have any contact with the local clans or the tribes people. But at the time, black people weren't allowed to become clergy or be in the church. So they told him, hey, you need to go find your wife. Well, he did leave, and then he found my great-grandmother, Maichi Gutsa, and right at that time, they agreed, you're going to live the traditional lifestyle, I'm going to continue the Catholic lifestyle, because I don't know anything else. And so he took on Catholicism. And during that time, ironically, when my great-grandmother died, she ended up saying, I want to be baptized on her deathbed. And then, so she became Catholic. But my grandmother immediately was a staunch Catholic. Well, my mom then meets my dad, who's Anglican. And my grandmother says, no way. No way. This is not happening. Well, eventually, the parents met, and the decision was made, all the children shall be Catholic. So here I am, and my dad is the Anglican. And so, and on my dad's side, his dad was the first set of Anglican priests that were allowed to be ordained in the country. First set of black Anglican priests, to be exact, that were allowed to be ordained in Zimbabwe. So now you have this family with an Anglican dad, and all of us are Catholic. And so we've really held on, for quite a long time to Catholicism until I moved on and joined other churches, right? So anyhow, the next song that I'm going to do is indicative of what was happening at the time. It's by Sam Cooke. Now, I had a myriad of influences in music. Even though I didn't know English at the time, you were listening to all this stuff. You were hearing all the soul music. You were hearing stuff like Toto. You're hearing stuff from Australia. You're hearing stuff from England. And we called it England. And you're hearing stuff from South Africa. and the Western African jazz. You know, I mean, you're hearing all sorts of stuff, and this is influencing you as you're growing up. So tonight, I'm just going to try and give you a small picture of what it was when I was growing up in our home. Oh, my baby's coming home tomorrow. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Baby coming home tomorrow. Ain't that news? Man, ain't that news? I got a letter just the other day telling me that she was on her way, and she wants me to meet her at the station. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? In the letter, she told me she loved me. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? In the letter, she told me she loved me. Ain't that news? Man, ain't that news? She said she's sorry that she left. Found out she don't want nobody else. Says she wants me all to herself. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Ain't that news? Ain't that good news? Man, oh man, ain't that news? My baby's coming home tomorrow. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? I'm gonna have a party at the station. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Have a party at the station. Ain't that news? Man, ain't that news? I can't wait to get her home. Well, we can finally be alone. Disconnect my telephone. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Ain't that news? Ain't that good news, man? Oh man, ain't that news? My baby's coming home tomorrow. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Ain't that news? Ain't that, you know this dance. Hey. I think they called it the twist. At least that's what Papa would say. Ain't that news? Ain't that good news? Oh, man, ain't that news? My baby coming home tomorrow. Ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? Ain't that news? Well, I got a woman way over town, and she good to me. Oh yeah, I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh yeah, she give me money when I'm in need. Hey, she's a great, great kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town. It's alright, it's alright. It's alright, it's alright. It's alright. And there was Elvis in our home too, Mike. It's alright, it's alright. Yeah, it's alright, it's alright. I got a woman way over there, and she gets to me. Oh yeah. Well, thank you. Well, and so moving on, you know, these guys are just having fun, right? I mean, my uncles will come over, my aunts, they would have their friends, and you, this little wee one, just watching as everybody just got on with it, right? And danced the night away. And nobody would care that there was things happening out there, you know? It was just, everybody was just having a great time. And, you know, there is something to be said when parents tried their best to raise their children in the right way, in a positive spirit. And one of the things that my mother and my father would always say is all you have to do is have a dream. But don't just stop there. Go for that dream. And they use their marriage as an example. They're like, we wouldn't have been married. But they went for it. And so one of the next songs I'm going to do is really my mother's favorite song, is that what I would call it. Now, my mother, she lost her battle to cancer in 2006, and I was here in the US at the University of Wyoming. And it was one of those situations where I couldn't go back home for that funeral. But you know, there's just these legacy things that you take with you, right? When you've had somebody in your life from the day you could blink, and then all of a sudden they're not there. No matter what your relationship is with that person, it is what it is. They're just not there. And it just leaves you in a different space. But those legacy moments are just amazing. So we're going to go into the next song. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you in my arms, when I want you to know your charms whenever I Thank you, thank you. And so during this time, of course, as kids, we hearing these songs, right? And just enjoying them. Like I could have sung that, when I listened to this, just preparing for the show, I just thought, it's amazing how those words just come back, and you can just remember the day, where you were, and how it happened, and all that good stuff. And talking about just how things happened is just like the day when Zimbabwe became an independent nation. Now, this was in 1980, and I remember that night specifically when the celebrations were held. And my aunt, my mom's younger sister, kept running around the house, and she was raising her knees like this and chanting these Bob Marley songs, right? And here I am like, is she okay? And the woman was running around and around, but it was such a celebration. And there's something that, looking back and reflecting on that time, you realize that at any time that happens and there's a transition of power, anything like that, there'll be people who really are for that. But we mustn't forget there's people who are not for that. And there's people who are just nonchalant. But one thing is that those things surely do not come for free. And it's interesting because as a kid, one of the things I knew in our house was that you had a hiding spot in the house. Mine was in the closet. Now, we had cubicles where you're supposed to, I had to fold my socks and everything. And right on the bottom was the bottom cubicle in the closet. And what I had to do was, as soon as somebody came in the gate and we got the signal, I would run into that closet and pull a backpack in front of me. So now all you could see was a backpack. My sister had her spot, my older sister had her spot, my brother had his spot. And it's interesting because it never occurred to me at that time that what if my mom doesn't come back to say it's okay? What if, I just never, you just don't think about that, right? But right now, as we just are in this world currently, I think about that and how many kids are now having to just hide. And nobody's come back to say, you can get out of that spot. So, it's difficult to explain, but then it's also wonderful to know that each of us are here. That each of us are in this room and we're celebrating this night and having a great time. And so this is one of the songs that Bob Marley wrote, and he was in Zimbabwe at the time, and it is called Zimbabwe, and it is the song that he sang that evening for independence, which is what my aunt was running around the house to. So, all right. Every man got a right to decide his own destiny. Yeah, man. Every man got a right to decide his own destiny. And in his judgment there is no partiality. So arm in arms with arms, we'll fight this little struggle, children, 'cause that's the only way we can overcome our little trouble. My brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We gonna fight, we have to fight, we gonna fight, fighting for our rights. Nati mashitena, Zimbabwe, go to trade it in Zimbabwe. Africans are liberate Zimbabwe. I and I are liberate Zimbabwe. No more internal power struggle. Children, come together to overcome the little trouble you see. Soon we'll find out who is the real revolutionaries. I don't want my people to be contrary. Brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We're gonna fight, we like to fight, we're gonna fight. tena.
Zimbabwe,
Go that way tena.
Zimbabwe,
Africans are liberate Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
I liberate Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe,
To divide and rule could only tear us apart. In every man chest there beats a heart. So soon we'll find out who is the real revolutionaries. 'Cause I don't want my people to be tricked by mercenaries. But brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We're gonna fight, we're gonna fight, we'll have to fight, fighting for our rights. Nazi trash it tonight.
Zimbabwe,
Yep.
Zimbabwe,
Africans are liberate Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
I liberate Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Africans are liberate.
Zimbabwe,
I liberate.
Zimbabwe,
Zimbabwe. Is there any water? Where's my water? Has anybody watched that movie, The Waterboy? I'm getting my American things right, right? Thank you, Tony. Thank you. This is my pastor, by the way. And a really great friend. So through all that, as you can see, some of that stuff is turbulent, right? But the one good thing about it is my parents also did tell me one thing to hold on to. They put me in boarding school when I was in 2nd grade. So I started going to boarding school. All of us kids went to boarding school. And it was 2nd grade, I was in one school, and then we got moved to a different school. And this school was a private school. Now, my parents' vision was that I become multicultural. And now I understand it fully. And one of the things that you had to do in this private school, even though Zimbabwe was already independent at this time, there was still a lot of issues within the nation, right? Race issues, all sorts of issues. And when I got into this school, as black kids, we were not allowed to speak the language. So if you were Shona speaking, you couldn't speak Shona. If you were Ndebele, you couldn't speak Ndebele. You had to speak English. And I got there, and I didn't really know any English, right? And I'm in 3rd grade. And so one thing I did is I just said to myself, you know what? You are going to learn this language. Mm-hmm. You know, after you get teased enough and kind of pushed around, you kind of figure it out, right? Survival of the fittest. And I said, you know what? I'm going to learn this language. And so I read ferociously. I read the dictionary, which became very exciting. And I read the Bible, because my grandmother would read the Bible, and I loved it. And after all that, my parents still poured more money into us kids and sent us to school where we had a teacher who could teach us grammar, to get your grammar correct. And I remember one of my worst words, the words I just absolutely hated, it was like a nightmare, was llama. And Mrs. Rothwell, who was my teacher, would say, no, Paul, llama. And what was that? The shells on the seashore, something or other, I'm not going to torture you. She sells seashells on the seashore, you know, and you had to enunciate, right? And looking back now, I wouldn't have all these qualities and all these things that I now see as strengths if I hadn't gone through all that. I think sometimes we have to look at what we're going through and just know that what's coming ahead is going to be a wonderful world. And so I really have my father and my mother to thank for that. And right now, we're going to just talk a little bit about what a wonderful world it is. And it would be really lonely if you didn't have people around you, good friends, good family, and what a wonderful world. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, is also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I hope you all memorized your lines. So, that must have been loud right there. In the time that I'm growing up, now I'm 6 years old, and we lived in this place in a township called Chitungwiza in Unit B. And I'm 6 years old, and for some reason I'd found this radio station that I absolutely fell in love with. There were 3 radio stations, Radio 1, Radio 2, Radio 3, right? Exciting stuff. And what would happen is I would crawl out of my bed at 6 o'clock in the morning because Radio 1 played classical music. And I would listen to this opera, and this was just on Sundays, by the way. So every Sunday morning, I would drag my blankets off my bed and curl up by the speaker and have the radio really low so that I wouldn't wake up anybody else in the house. And my mom would sometimes I'd have fallen asleep and she'd be like, hey, you need to get ready for church. And then I'd get up and go get ready, and we'd go to the Catholic church. So the Catholic faith is just really, like I said earlier, big part of my life. And so tonight, like Marie announced, we're going to have a guest artist come up, Michelle Forster, and she's a really amazing soprano singer. And we're going to go in and just share a little bit about that experience growing up with a song called Of the Father's Love Begotten. Of the Father's love begotten, ere the worlds began to be, He is Alpha and Omega, He the source, the ending, He. Of the things that are, that have been, and that future years shall see, evermore and evermore.
This is He whom heaven taught singers, sang of old with one accord, whom the scriptures of the prophets promised in the faithful word. Now He shines, the long expected. Let creation praise its Lord, evermore and evermore.
O ye heights of heaven, adore Him. Angel hosts His praises sing. All dominions bow before Him and extol our God and King. Let no tongue on earth be silent. Every voice in concert ring. Evermore and evermore. Do you remember your part? Naimi Baba. Dino Muten, Naimi Baba. Wekwalo, Dino Mutenda. Wekwa Wheels, Dino Mutenda. Too much fun, right?
Magadigo Bamnin, Magadigo Usungo, Magadi Mese Murikoko. Hello, everybody. I am Muneti Charai, Paul's older brother. Paul is a multi-gifted man, and in our family, he's affectionately called Popo here and Radzi on stage there. From his youth, Paul has always been an artist, a dancer, a singer, a sportsman, and within the family, I believe he has the biggest heart. We are really proud of him and you all for your commitment and support for the little children. As they say, catch them young. The children are special. We trust you have a swell time this evening. Be blessed and enjoy. Love you lots. Bye-bye.
So, as you can probably tell, picking Wyoming for me was not a far cry. I come from a farming community. And one thing I knew growing up, when you saw a cowboy hat, you got excited. To me, it's not just the fact that it's just a hat. It's not just the boots. I learned that they're called kickers, right? But there's certain code of ethics that goes with that lifestyle, right? And that's something I knew from an early age. You know, without farmers, you don't have food. But anyway, we're going to be moving on. And coming up, you know, I went back to, let me back up here real quick. So I went to the University of Wyoming. That's how I got to Wyoming. I haven't really explained that full story. I graduated from the University of Wyoming in 2010. And while I was there, I met this couple. And this couple, again, will always have a special place in my heart because without this couple, I wouldn't have met all of you. And so, and what it was is my mom had passed away, and then I just went into a time when I was like, I'm not going to be singing anymore. I'm done with singing. And a really good friend of mine, he was the running back for the University of Wyoming football team. And he was like, nope, you're coming to this youth retreat with me in Estes Park. So it was a Christian youth retreat. And I'm standing there, and I'm not singing, the worship team's singing, and I hear this voice. And I'm like, wow. So then I look, and this couple's right in front of me, and I'm thinking, do I tap her on the shoulder? Do I tap him on the shoulder? If they're together, I probably should tap him on the shoulder. So anywho, I said, she's got an amazing voice. Long story short, Josh Law just became the other brother. Like I have so many brothers ever since. I wouldn't know Sheridan if it wasn't for you, Josh. They kept in touch with me. Since 2010, I had to go back to Zimbabwe, and he would call, he would text. Johnny would jump on the phone. Catherine would be like, hey, Mark would call. And they just kept in touch with me. Well, fast forwarding, things kind of happened in Zimbabwe. Politics will always be politics. And it kind of got time for me to leave very quickly. Well, it also coincided with Josh saying, hey, why don't we work together? Come on over. Come to Sheridan. And I'd been saying, no. You hear those chickens in the background? It's a lovely lifestyle. I was like, no, I'm good, Well, long story short, I ended up jumping on that flight and coming here and starting working with Josh, staying with Mark and Teresa. And it was just, you get immersed in a community where you realize the people have the heart for community. You wouldn't be here right now if you didn't have a heart for your community. Those are the cowboy ethics, right? That's what we know. And so this evening, I'm going to invite up a wonderful lady, Danielle Law. Now, what we're going to do for you right now is actually the first song I ever sung in Sheridan, Wyoming. Lo and behold, oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More jazzy.
Yeah, there we go.
Jazzy.
And so this was the first song I ever sung in Sheridan. And it was for her wedding. All right. Do you hear me? I'm talking to you. Across the water, across the deep blue ocean, under the open sky. Oh my, baby, I'm trying.
Boy, I hear you in my dreams. I feel your whisper across the sea. I keep you with me in my heart. You make it easier when life gets hard.
Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again. Ooh, ooh.
They don't know how long it takes
waiting for a love like this. Every time we say goodbye, I wish we had one more kiss. I'll wait for you, I promise you, I will. Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again. Lucky we're in love in every way. Lucky to have stayed where we have stayed. Lucky to be coming home someday. And so I'm sailing through the sea to an island where we'll meet. You see the music fill the air. I'll put a flower in your hair.
Though the breezes through the trees move so pretty, you're all I see as the world keeps spinning round. You hold me right here, right now.
Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again. Lucky we're in love in every way. Danielle Law, everybody. So yeah, that was my introduction to Sheridan in 2010, right? 2010 was that? Yeah. And ever since then, you just leave, and I thought, wow, what a beautiful place, right? And I've been so fortunate, the return to Sheridan, ironically, coincided 3 days later with Johnny and Rebecca's wedding. So I made it for that wedding. So it's kind of interesting, the back and forth, and just how the thread just weaves its way through, right? But, one thing is, those are the beginnings, and then you still have the rest of your story to write, right? And since then, you just meet these families and people that lift you up when you need to be lifted up, that say, Paul, because I need that too, right? Yeah, I think we all need it, right? I need the right? But in that time, you're writing your story, and you keep going. And one day, Mark says, there's a band that I really want you to meet. And I went to their show, and it was the Kraft Brothers. And I just was, that was the country that I knew. When I arrived, I remember I was like, oh, can somebody play country music? And then they played it on the radio, and I was going, this sounds like rock. I don't know this country. I know Don Williams. I know Dolly Parton. I knew the old school country. And so now I'm watching these guys, and I'm flabbergasted. And so it is my privilege to have JT up here, JT Kraft, and we're going to do a couple of songs for you.
Let's be clear. It's my privilege. Thank you very much. I saw Paul the day he's talking about standing out, like you said, in a way that we're not used to seeing, in such a celebratory way. And he was loving everything that we did, and it warmed my heart so much, and I was like, I have to be friends with that guy.
Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice. 'Cause I speak in the pompatus of love. People be talking about me, baby. Yeah. Say I'm doing you wrong. Doing you wrong. Don't you worry, baby, don't you worry, mama, 'cause I'm a right here at home. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Don't know one and don't know one. I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Playing my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Get my loving on the run.
Life is one big party when you're still young, but who's gonna help you your back when it's all done. It's all good when you're little, you're pure fun. Come here, full son, what about the long run? Looking back, shorty, always a mention. Say me not giving her much attention. She was there through my incarceration. I wanna show the nation my appreciation.
Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps you are to me, baby. Surely you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady. You're the cutest thing I ever did see. I really love your peaches. I wanna shake your tray. Lovey-dovey all the time. Ooh, yeah, baby. Should show you a good time. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Playing my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. Sure don't wanna hurt no one.
You're a queen and that's how you should be treated. Though you never get the loving that you needed. Could've left but I called and you heeded. Begged and I pleaded, mission completed. Mama said that I did the program. Not the type to mess around with her emotion. Girl, the feeling that I have for you is so strong. Been together so long, this could never be wrong.
Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my beats you are to me, baby. Surely you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady.
That's what you call a clashing of the worlds, right? But listen.
Heaven must be missing some angels, 'cause you're all here with me.
Yeah?
Heaven must be missing some angels, 'cause you're all here with me.
And I thank you so much for that.
Heaven must be missing an angel, 'cause you're all here with me.
Yeah, man, we're gonna do that one more time, yeah? Big up.
Heaven must be missing an angel, 'cause you're all here with me.
Well, there you go. But in that time, I did talk about my love of country. And what I did once is, well, I went to Casper. I moved to Casper to work. And I just thought, you know, I got some time on my hands. Why don't I learn to rodeo? Well, right? As Ron would say, logical, why not? And so, and really the way this happened was, I was working on the work site, and the plumber's son, who was also on the work site, was learning how to rodeo. And I was like, there's such a thing as a school for rodeo? Well, apparently so. And they took me to a rodeo, and the guy who runs the school was running the chutes. Did I get that right? Is it shoot? Yeah. There we go. And I meet this guy, and I say, you know, one day I want to wear a pair of boots, but I want to learn how to rodeo before I put those boots on. Well, he's like, are you sure? And yes, I was sure. So we went to Douglas, and he had this contraption that he would pull behind his razor, and it would simulate the movement of the horse. And one thing he definitely cautioned me, he said, if I ever hear you say bronco, it's a bronc. I'm not going bronco riding. No. Bronc riding. Is that correct? Correct. Thank you. I know we got Mr. St. Clair over there, so I better get this right. And so, I did that, and surely enough, I was telling the story, and one day, an amazing lady decided, that guy needs a pair of boots. And as you can see, this was the gift, right here. And so, and this is in Sheridan. This person lives in Sheridan. And, but during that time, I also met somebody, his name is Paul Bogart. Who's familiar with Paul Bogart? Can you hear some noise for Paul? Great, amazing musician. And I don't know how we became friends, and I downloaded his music. And one day I'm in Casper and I'm mowing. Love mowing. Right? And I'm mowing, and I hear this song. And I remember I just broke down. And this song, the title is I Won't Have Far to Go.
Song whispers and saddle leather, steam rising off the backs of 100 head. Old Maverick and me have seen 1,000,000 miles together. He's 16 hands of a heart that don't know quit. Some years we do good to just break even, but it ain't how much you make that makes a living. 'Cause when I see the painted sunset, it's not hard to think that right here where I'm standing is where the good Lord hangs his old hat. And these mountains and these canyons sure feel close to heaven. So when he finally calls this cowboy home, bet I won't have far to go. Now that good book says up yonder there'll be mansions, and mansions don't do nothing for my soul. But I've seen the leaves of late September aspens turn old bighorn trails into streets of gold. So when I see the painted sunset, it's not hard to think that right here where I'm standing is where the good Lord hangs his old hat. And these mountains and these canyons sure feel close to heaven. So when he finally calls this cowboy home, I bet I won't have far to go to get to the other side. 'Cause I've already caught a glimpse of that sweet by and by. When I see that painted sunset, it's hard not to think that right here where I'm standing is where the good Lord hangs his old hat. And these mountains and these canyons sure feel close to heaven. So when he finally calls this cowboy home, bet I won't have far to go.
JT Craft, everybody. Yeah, I think you can kind of hear in the words why that happened. It's just one of those songs, right? And you meet these people that are just amazing and just enrich your life so much and change it into something better than what you had before. And that's why I really appreciate what my parents did, because they said, you know what, you need to go out and experience the world. Go experience the world. And I remember my dad, the day I left, he asked me a question. And this is when I first came in. He said, what are you going to do when you get there? And I said, well, I'm going to go to school. He said, no. What are you going to do when you enter that society, the people? What are you going to do? I was, young, and I'm getting agitated because I'm like, okay, of course you know the answer, so why are you asking me? Then he said, let me ask you this. In our culture, when you get into somebody's house, would you rearrange the furniture? You walk in and you go, oh, I don't like that couch. I don't like that painting. Okay, okay, now I can visit you as a visitor. Hi. I just rearranged your whole house. And I said, oh, Dad, of course not. I mean, look, can you hurry up? The plane's about to go. And then he says, son, when you go into somebody's house, you wait and be shown where to be seated. You respect every person in that house. And you say thank you. And that's one of the things that I've always carried with me from my father. From the day that I left Zimbabwe in 1999 to come here to Rock Springs. Beautiful, wonderful Rock Springs. I mean, I think guys in Sheridan, you know Rock Springs is gorgeous, right? I mean, and one of the things I really wanted to see was the wild horses. So people are like, how did you find Rock Springs? And I said, well, one day I was like looking through the map, the atlas, and I had studied Wyoming because I love geography. And I found Wyoming, and I'm like, interesting. They have a cold desert. And being from Zimbabwe, Africa, and the Kalahari is really close, and you've got the Sahara. And I'm thinking, how can a desert be cold? Nope, doesn't make sense. And second thing is, I want to see snow. So I say, I'm going to Rock Springs, Wyoming. And my mother says, oh, you're not. Somebody told me there's nobody there. Right? Well, lo and behold, if she could see all this, there's people here. And so she said, okay, you seem adamant to go to Rock Springs. What I'm going to say is you need to find a flight. But what I had found was the Greyhound bus from Denver to Rock Springs. And my dear old mother said, no. My son, I'm not sending you 10,000 miles away for you to get lost somewhere. I want to see a flight into Rock Springs. And I was so determined to go. I went and looked for some friends, and they told me, hey, there's this other travel agency that just might, they deal with smaller flights, charter-type flights. Why don't you talk to one of them? And so I did. And lo and behold, she found me a flight from Denver to Rock Springs. So I go to my mom. I found a flight. She bursts into tears. Anyway, I get to Rock Springs and I walk out of the airport, of the plane, and I said to the lady, it looks like everybody's gone. And oh, by the way, at the embassy they told me, when you get there, this is a first world country, so you're gonna have to, sort of polish up a little bit, So now in Denver, I get, into the hotel, and I, before I board my flight out of Denver, I wear a nice shirt and dress shoes and everything. And I land at Rock Springs Airport, and I'm carrying a briefcase. And I get to the desk, and everybody's left. I remember there's a guy that kind of brought up all his food in the flight because the plane kept going. And I was like, oh my. Anyway, they left. And then I said, excuse me, ma'am, where is the connecting flight to Rock Springs? she says, sorry, excuse me. And I thought, wow, that accent, yes, I'm in America. But I said, you know, I'm supposed to go to Rock Springs. And she goes, well, you're in Rock Springs. Oh. Well, is there a bus that I can take to the college, maybe? She says, you're supposed to be at the college. And then she bursts out laughing. And now I'm thinking, maybe I said something not quite right. This is what that lady was talking about. I need to kind of figure this out. And she goes, there's not even a taxi here. You're going to have to find some way. So she calls a friend of hers. They pick me up and take me to the college. And I get to the college, and you know, somebody unlocks my room. And then I lie there on my bed. There was no bedding. I thought the school would, you know. I've been in boarding school all my life. I thought the schools provided bedding. I had no bedding, and I'm lying there. And now I'm afraid to leave my room because she had also said, if you walk out the door will lock behind itself. And now I'm afraid to leave the room. So now I'm lying there, and next thing, I hear the door, and I, you know, wake up, and in walks this Japanese man. And I said, oh, hi. And he says, yeah. He said, roommate? I said, yes. Lo and behold, this guy knew just about 5 words. And that was my first roommate ever. And Ryosuke and I are still in touch up to this day. And they've affectionately called me Shisho in Japanese, which means teacher, because what I decided was, you know, I grew up in a business family. I think I can make some money teaching some English. So I would have these guys, the Japanese students and all these different students, they'll come to the commons area, and we would talk English. And I'd be like, no, you don't want to say it like that. You know, so yeah, and that was kind of my entry into the US. But fast forwarding quite a while, I'm now here in Sheridan, and then I meet this guy, Rod Jost, the jazz cowboy. Everybody give Rod a hand, please. And we were singing up at Luminous Brewery. And there's this young man who, everybody will know when this young man comes up. And, you know, we had a steady gig with Rod every Monday. And this young man would sit in the audience there. And he was with somebody that looked like his parents or something. And, you know, one day, his mom comes up and says, you know, my son really wants to sing with you. I thought, with me? And she says, yeah. Anyway, one day they come by, and then she says, you know, do you think today you can let my son sing? I said, yeah. Have him come up, you know. Next thing he darts out, I'm like, where's he going? She's like, he's going to get his guitar. He brings it every Monday, waiting to play. And so next thing, this young man, he comes and sits next to me. And we like, what song do we do? And it was Ain't No Sunshine. This young man starts singing. And remember I told you I can get a little exuberant with music? And he's doing this, you know, just you could hear that tone, that old soul in that boy's voice. And next thing I go, sing, child, sing! Ladies and gentlemen, Dugan Irby. But as you know, he's no longer that whisper singer. He's gone and taken it to new heights, and he keeps moving on up, and we wish him great things, right? Amen. Yeah? Yeah.
No sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. But she goes away.
Wonder this time where she is gone. Wonder if she's gone to stay. Well, there ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house, it ain't no home anytime she goes away.
I know, 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 I know. Well, Lord, leave your day alone. There ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. And this house, it ain't no home anytime she goes away.
Anytime she goes away.
Yeah, come on. It's getting hot up in here.
Every superstitious writings on the wall. Every superstitious ladder's about to fall. A dirty mother baby with a broke door looking glass. Saving Isabella with a good dance in your place. When you believe and dance, so you don't understand when you suffer. Superstition ain't the way.
Very superstitious. Wash your face and hands. Rid me of the problem. Do all that you can. Keep me in a daydream. Keep me going strong. You don't wanna save me. Say here is my song. When you believe and then you don't understand and you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. Yeah. Yes. Very superstitious. Wash your face and hands. Rid me of the problem. Do all that you can.
Keep me in a daydream.
Yeah.
Keep my hair going strong. You don't wanna save me. Say it's my song.
When you believe in things you don't understand, when you suffer, superstition ain't the way. And then next up, I think you've seen this young lady up here just a second ago. And she's at the college. And I heard her voice too, and I thought, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Blessing. Turn your lights down low and close your window curtain. Don't let your moon come shining into our lives again, saying, ooh, it's been a long, long time. I've got this message for you, girl. But it seemed I was never on time, which is true, by the way. Still, I wanna get through to you, girl, on time, on time. I wanna give you some love. I want to give you some good, good loving. Oh, I want to give you some good, good loving.
Turn your lights down low.
Come on now, sing it.
Never ever try to resist. Oh no. Oh, let your love come shining into our lives again, saying, ooh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I want you to know right now that I love you.
I love you.
And I want you to know right now
Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, thank you. Well, I just really want to take this chance right here to thank you all for being here tonight. As we're getting to the sort of end of the program. And, you know, I had started off earlier talking about my name. And my name is Paul Munyaradzi Charai. And I've heard people, you know, people have said, hey, but on your Facebook it says Paul Radzi. And really, it was just a shortened version of my middle name, Paul Munyaradzi Charai. And the story behind that, when I was born, my dad wanted to name me Munyaradzi. My grandmother on my mother's side, the Catholic grandmother, said, no. He needs to be named Paul, after Pope John Paul. And that was the year that Pope John Paul was put in as the Pope. And so my middle name, though, Munyaradzi, it's a Shona name, and it means comforter or peacemaker. And and somebody came backstage and said, don't forget to say that story. But, you know, it's just been amazing to be here. And one thing that I really, really would love to see in our country and all over the world, but starting with our country, is that peace. And right now, we're going to go into the last song of the evening, and it is God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night, from the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, God bless America, my home, sweet home. You can join me here. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, God bless America, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I need to introduce the band. Over here we got Mr. Rod Jost. And on guitar we got Max McClanahan. And over here, we have the man himself, Tony Foreman. And the guy who ran around and made things happen, Charles Luxog. And she's not on the stage at the moment, but blessing, everybody, blessing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do we? Okay, well, you know. Wow. Do you know, you guys are amazing. I was like, man, we need to speed this up. People want to get home. Yeah, people got to get church in the morning, yeah, right? And, well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm truly humbled, and I appreciate all of you. And, you know, I'm going to take, you know, now that we're there and while we're gathering our thoughts, I'm going to have to whisper a few things just in a second so we can figure stuff out for the encore. And the great thing about this, though, is that all of you took your time out to come here tonight. And I think the real applause goes to you because this is Sheridan. I mean, we have people that that drove from Denver. You see those trees in there? My brother Andrew drove from Denver and made sure those lights were up there. You know. We got Teresa and John all the way from Bozeman. And I mean, people are just, you know, coming and supporting this event, and you are all here, and you took the time. You know, that there's a lot to be said about that. And Paul DeRossi and Marie. You know, when I was a kid, I received a book. Every month, my mom made sure I had a book. I remember I walked into Cornerstone Church, and it was close to Christmas, and I walked in and I saw these boxes sitting in the lobby, and I looked at these boxes and I carried on going, and I walked straight in, and then I walked out and I'm like, those look so familiar. So I walk out, and you know those little red shoe boxes? So I said to the lady who was ushering, I said, wow, do the children in America get these too? I used to get that. And then she goes, oh, no. You know, people here are going to grab a box, and then they're going to go pack it, and then they go. I said, excuse me? She said, yeah, they're going to pack them. People are just going to grab these boxes and pack them, and then they get shipped out to the different countries. And I said to her, so you mean I could get one of those boxes and pack it, and it go to another child in some country that I don't even know? Life is a funny way of coming full circle, right? Yeah. And one day, I grabbed 3. I was like, give me those boxes. But you know what's crazy about it is I received that box, and the year that right before I came to Sheridan, I had joined a church, and the pastor said, hey, Paul, I can't make it to the depot. Could you run to the depot and pick up these boxes? And it was those very boxes. So from receiving one to distributing to all of a sudden having the privilege of packing one. Right? So I thank you all for really being here this evening. 2 seconds. Would you all mind some reggae? Yeah? We're going to go reggae. Yeah. All right. Yeah, right. All right. on my mind. Oh, oh. Now you are here, I said it's okay to see what we can do, baby. Just me and you, come on and steer it up. Little darling, steer it up. Come on, baby. Come on and steer it up. Oh, 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 yeah. Little darling, steer it up. Oh, yeah. I'll push the wood. Yeah, I blaze your fire. Can I satisfy your heart desire? Said I'll steer it, yes, every minute. All you got to do, baby, is keep it in it and steer it up. Come on, little darling, steer it up. Come on, baby. Come on and steer it up. Oh, oh, oh. Little darling, steer it up. Keep playing, guys. Keep. Hey, I want to say thank you to the YO Theater and that man standing right there, Verl. Yeah, man. My brother, man. Max Salvatore Brown, wherever you are. Thank you, my brother. Little darling, steer it up. All we want is one love, yeah? Yeah, man. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying. Hear the children crying. Singing, give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's sing one love. One love. Talk about the one heart. Talk about the let's get together and feel alright. I'm pleading with mankind. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Saying, let's get together and feel alright. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great evening and travel safe. Thank you.